been, gosh, at least I feel like 6 months since we did this.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to answering some questions for everybody. Might take a minute until people pop on since it's been quite a long time since we've been here. But gosh, we're down here in Austin again, just kind of hanging out. And I mean, things are going really well with Locklab altogether. We've been able to help, gosh, like thousands and thousands of guys over the last year to not lose their hair. And the number one comment that we're getting is actually people getting on Locklab who were on other medications that were on like Keeps and Hims and like different other providers, and they're switching over and having better results with Locklab. And it's really, I mean, it comes down to, I think, two main things, which is one, the dosing protocol. That's the most probably important, where we have the more oral minoxidil, and then also just having really high quality medication where Mark's getting, Mark, our CEO, my brother, where he's getting the third party testing done very regularly. So I think we have the better for people, 'cause people like really, very impressive results. If we finally have one person on, so if you're on, you want to ask a question, we'd love to hear from you. Yeah, just love to answer any kind of questions that you guys have. I think it might take a little while till people start showing up, though. We're at 4:30. It says 5:30 East Coast time. So people are kind of just getting off work too, probably, depending on where they're at. So yeah, what's newest for you guys in the practice and what with Dr. McGrath?
Everything's going great. The Dr. McGrath, his team, the chemistry is amazing. Like, as you know, and anybody that's been very loyal to watching us, David, is we like to be very selective of our patients. That is where Locklab comes in as being so important. Is most of the patients, about 85%, we will turn away. That is not in our best interest. That is in the best interest of the patient. So we like to get them on the medication, and we like to strengthen their hair. I pride myself on the fact that now, at this point in my kind of passionate career, if you want to call it that. I don't like to call it a career. I like to call it like just my passion in life is to help people with hair loss. The number one thing to do when you want to help people with hair loss is stop their hair loss. So remember, a hair transplant does not stop hair loss. A medication, Locklab, stops hair loss. Once you've been kind of acclimated to the medication and we have some good before and after photos, we can then set up the plan to restore the hair that you've lost. So that is really where the practice has, it's always been that way, but building the brand, building customer service, explaining that properly. This is not a one and done or a two and done hair restoration type thing. This is a lifelong relationship. And the medication, Locklab, is very important component of that relationship. So I feel, I don't know if we can get more successful. Hopefully we can in regards to more people, but I feel like right now we're really hitting our stride in helping people out there.
Yeah, so we went from zero people watching this to suddenly 17, 20 watching. So if you have questions, and we got a hello from Russia. So what's going on there in Russia? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so we got some people watching now. So if you have any questions whatsoever about hair loss, please let us know. That's what we're here to do, is really just jump on to answer your questions live. We got a hello, sir. That's probably one of my friends in the Philippines. Is it ever okay to create a juvenile hairline with a hair transplant? That's a good question.
It's a good question. And for the most part, you don't want to get too aggressive if the patient is very young. However, I was in the LA market for 4 years, and we would literally have 26, 27-year-old young men who looked like they were 20 that wanted to look 15 so they could go get Disney parts. It was insane. So, sometimes we just reinforce their hairline, but I would be very cautious putting a juvenile hairline on anyone.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like if you're old enough, especially, and it's just something that you really want, and you have already stabilized your hair loss, and it's not, or maybe you have no hair loss whatsoever, you just want to improve your hairline, you have no hair loss, then you really can kind of do whatever you want then at that point, right? And it just comes down to their own decision.
Yes and no. There's board certification. David, we have learned, from many people out there the hard way, you need to see a doctor that's board certified. And board certification does not necessarily let you just make a decision to do whatever you want to do.
Gotcha. Okay.
They have to be the adult in the room and guide you. It's a little bit like a beautiful woman who looks like a Playboy centerfold who doesn't need any work, goes and wants 800cc implants. That plastic surgeon has to be a little bit of a therapist.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
that might kind of look a little strange.
Okay, makes sense. That's sad. I'm 10. I don't know what that means. Eugene Ma says, "Hola, amigos." What's up, Eugene? Yeah, I remember Eugene from some of our past videos that we've done.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you guys have any other questions, hopefully that answers your question, Philly boy.
Is that Philly boy, like Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think so.
Congratulations to the Eagles.
Oh, did they just?
They just won the Super Bowl.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying any attention. All I know is Kendrick Lamar did the Super Bowl halftime.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all I knew. Okay, thoughts on young men who can't grow a full beard and want a beard transplant?
Yeah, well, you know what? You came to the right place. I mean, Dr. McGrath, he's an expert with artistry. If you want to look at David's hairline and my hairline, that's what artistry looks like. And the full beard is
My hairline.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Mine's a little less dense because I have less quality hair than David, but the artistry is amazing. So when it comes to a beard, you need to make sure you find a doctor that can use angle and direction in a three-dimensional space. I will tell you that a beard restoration, if it's done properly, takes a very long time. It's a long day. The anesthesia to numb the face alone is about 2 hours, and you can't move your face. So you can't pass the time by talking to the technicians or the doctor's staff. You have to just sit there stone-faced watching TV and not move your mouth. But if that's what you want, we do great work. And each individual hair, each individual follicle, one at a time, has to be placed in a three-dimensional space. So yes, you can have it done. You're probably going to need 2 procedures. You could do FUE or FUT, and it's not cheap.
Yeah, I've been here when Dr. McGrath has done some beard transplants, and it does look like a very intensive surgery. But I've seen it turn out really, really real well. So
absolutely,
I've seen it look really good. So
yeah, he does great work.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Adrian says, your hair looks fantastic. Well, thank you. I don't know which one of us you're talking to, but we both appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Julian says, just saw your commercials the other day. Congratulations on Locklab, gentlemen. Been a huge fan of Steve's for a while now. Happy to see your success. Oh, that's super nice.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, we've been having a blast filming the commercials. So I go down to my brother Paul and Mark's house in Charleston, and we just do the craziest stuff together. Like, we've been putting our juggling skills. You guys might know I'm a world champion winning juggler, so I've been doing, I mean, we like literally, I don't know, have you guys ever seen the video where it's like the balancing video? Have you even seen it?
I saw it, yeah.
You saw it,
Yeah,
okay. So,
yeah,
and
pretty cool.
we literally like walked into a bike shop and was like, hey, can I balance one of these bicycles on my face? And they were like, yeah, okay, sure. Like, don't hurt yourself. So, I mean, we did some really crazy stuff, and it's been super fun. But what is the most fun and the most awesome is that we're able to help all of these guys. I mean,
absolutely.
Like, that's what was fun before we started Locklab as a company, was actually just doing these videos, getting guys on this compounded medication. I got like tons of people on it through my videos and just my friends. I wasn't making a dime on any of that. And if anything, it was actually kind of a negative for Dr. McGrath and his team, because they were having to do all of this prescription filling, writing, and it's really, you know, his expertise is in hair transplants, and that's really his like bread and butter of his business. And so instead they were having to do all this prescription writing, and so we formed Locklab in order to get this compounded formula out at the best price. Like, there's no price that's even close to it for what you're getting. To make it super easy, it takes 5 minutes to fill out the form and go through it. We have U.S. licensed physicians you can talk to like 24 hours a day, awesome customer service. All of our materials are third-party tested. All of our ingredients are third-party tested. So we really just made this, what we knew was working, available like easier and better, you know, to be able to end hair loss essentially for most people. So let me see here. Philly Boy says, Is it possible to get a beard similar to yours with a transplant? All your brothers look so much like you. Oh, thank you. I take that as a compliment because they're good-looking dudes. So yeah, like
So
what was your answer to that,
so
Steve?
the answer is
This is
always
my beard.
the answer is always you want to kind of create proper expectations. Because David's beard was created by Mother Nature, no hair transplant doctor is going to be able to compete with that in at least one procedure. So it really depends on like where you are. Like there's a few examples on Dr. McGrath's website that'll show you someone that you would say, well, he already has a beard, but this guy was like intense. He was part of like a beard club or something. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Wow.
And he just wanted as much as possible. So there, I'm just going to take for granted for this part of the question that you don't have any hair on your face at all. You're going to be very pleased in just one procedure with about 2,500 single-haired follicular units that's very uniform and very artistically placed. Now, if you want something closer to David's density, then you're probably looking at two procedures. But I tell everybody, gender, race, or age anyway, whether it's the head or whether it's the beard, always plan on two procedures. So you go into this with expectations that you are going to look tremendously different. You're going to have a full beard and you're going to like it. But you got to be very careful what your expectations are so that way you're not dissatisfied.
Ben plays. Oh, what's going on, Ben? Yeah, I know you. I've checked out your channel. So Ben says, just know you have saved my life. Wow, I'm 20, got a transplant, and on meds. Wow, thanks, guys. Dude, that's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Thank you so much for letting us know.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's what makes us like so excited about making
Absolutely.
these videos, and like, wow, really appreciate that. So. Congratulations, and yeah, if we can do anything else for you, please let us know. Leave us a comment anytime. I read all the comments and try and get back to all of them if I can. So that's awesome, man. Do you mind if you're still on here, Ben? Let us know just like where you went for your transplants, what kind of meds you're on, and just sort of all the kind of stuff. Feel free to share. I'm happy to hear that, and where you're located. So. Philly Boy has got the most questions, so cool. Thanks for all your questions. And he says, should a 19-year-old ever get a hair transplant?
When you're talking to a board certified doctor who does this full time and is a specialist, based on his board certification, the answer is no. However, I lost my hair when I was 17. I was bald at 18, and it was very psychologically debilitating, which I believe it is for many people, and that's why I do what I do. As long as you're on the medication and your hair has stabilized, and we can prove that through photography, you do have an opportunity, I would say, with your parents. Even though you're an adult and you can make your own decision, we want to be very careful that we're not making a mistake on you. So it's a series almost like a job interview. We want to make sure that we're asking you the right questions and you're saying the right things. I mean, I wanted to jump off the George Washington Bridge. That's what I wanted to do. Give me my hair back. But if it depends also on your, how quickly you've lost your hair, whether you're using the medication or not, are you, like me, psychologically debilitated? Are you antisocial? Have you given up on life to pretty much all social degrees? Now we got to talk about really trying to help you. But if it's something we can kick the can down the road and see how much more hair loss you have, even on the medication, that's only to protect you. So the answer is kind of wishy-washy, but it's the truth.
So, Dr. Phil says, hope you're having a great day. We hope you're having a great day as well. And yeah, feel free to shoot any questions or any of you guys' personal experience. We're happy to hear it. I'm trying to think what else is going on. Yeah, we're doing the videos. We're about to come out with actually a women's pill, which we're pretty excited about. That's going to be the next thing that we're launching because we get a ton of inquiries from women who are interested in getting on something like Locklab, and so we're trying to formulate. We've been working with Dr. McGrath to come up with like the most ideal pill for the majority of women. So I don't know if we have any women who are actually watching this, but that's something we're pretty excited about. Okay, and Philly Boy says, would you rather be a slightly chubby guy with a full head of hair or bald and jacked? Slightly chubby guy with a full head of hair or bald and jacked?
Well,
it's a good question.
I'd rather be a slightly chubby guy with a full head of hair.
Me too.
Because I could always.
Because then you could just go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think if the question is you can't go to the gym or you can't change your physical stature and you're going to be slightly chubby with a full head of hair, it's a really interesting question because I'm obviously very biased in what's happened to me, and I know how the hairline and the hair on the head frames the face, and how I had that stolen from me very young, I would always go for the hair.
I think I would, as much as, I mean, I'm a pretty fit guy. Like, I got a six pack, I work out all the time. And still, if you gave me the option, even if I couldn't go to the gym, but like, I mean, okay, let's say you can still exercise, but like, you'll always be chubby. You always be like a little bit chubby, not like fat, but like a little, like not super fit, right?
Yeah.
I would rather be that and have a full head of hair.
Yeah, I would agree.
Than be totally jacked and be bald. Because if you think about it, like, think about like those celebrities, like even like Leonardo DiCaprio, like he's not super jacked, you know what I mean? Or like any of the dudes from Friends or any of those kind of guy, like Matthew Perry or something like that. Like plenty of dudes who are like a little chubby. I mean, I think some girls actually like guys who are like a little like not super fit.
Well, they
makes them feel better.
Yeah, they like personality too.
Yeah. Personality.
I would tell you that that hair is much more important than we think. And unfortunately, for those of you out there losing it, you don't realize that until you start to lose it. So hair is important.
So Tara says, will Locklab ever offer dutasteride? And yes, there actually is a plan to make dutasteride an optional choice in the future with Locklab. But really, like, yeah, it's like further down on our list of what to do because we really don't see much of a need for it. It's just very rare that men need dutasteride. So essentially, for the vast majority of guys, like vast majority, I'm going to say like 97% of men who are dealing with male pattern baldness, finasteride gets rid of plenty of DHT. It's around, I think it's like 60%.
63%.
Yeah, around 63% of the DHT through finasteride. So dutasteride gets rid, it's like 90%, I think, right?
93.
93%. Okay, so you only need to get rid of, for most people, about 50%, right, of DHT.
It varies from patient to patient, but you're close.
Yeah, so around that to stop hair loss. So there's not a need for like most people to use dutasteride. And also when you start increasing, like getting rid of that much DHT where it starts to be up to 93% instead of 63%, you do increase potential side effects when you do that. So it just seems like for, again, most people, the benefits don't outweigh the downsides of doing that. That said, there are people that could benefit from dutasteride, and so for those very few people, we do want to have that option available so that they can still get the benefit of the 5 milligrams oral minoxidil, which we're pretty much the only company that's doing that. And that's really what we've seen has been a huge home run. So yeah, we want that to be available. And that said, also, I wanted to mention that I think one of the reasons that sometimes finasteride doesn't work as well for people is because they're not combining it with the 5 milligrams of the oral minoxidil. So it's really that 1-2 punch that really makes the big difference. So, because we have people all the time that are, we're on finasteride, some kind of generic finasteride, and they're like, oh, this isn't really working that well. And then they're like, maybe I need to try dutasteride. We're like, why don't you just try Locklab? They get on the Locklab because it's got that 5 milligrams of oral minoxidil, and they get this huge boost in their hair, and their hair looks way better. And I'm like, oh, this is really what I needed. So it seems to be that 1-2 punch of the 5 milligrams of the oral minoxidil that's really making the big difference. So before I think you should switch from finasteride to dutasteride, you should first make sure that you're taking that 5 milligrams of oral minoxidil, because that's where you're going to see the biggest increase in difference. Would you say it's true?
Yeah, 100%, David, you're dead on. And keep in mind that as hair kind of loss, sufferers, we're all in this together. Even myself, we're always looking for something new and something better.
Yeah.
Always. We're Googling, we're watching like this channel and all this kind of stuff. We're always looking for something better. Don't just dive right into the dutasteride because you think it's stronger and it's going to help you more.
Yeah.
The 98% of the patients out there that are taking finasteride with the oral minoxidil, that's all they need.
Yep.
And, the testeride, and back to David's point, he was dead on. My only addition to that would be it is all about compliance. We need to make sure, like I want to say, like from cradle to grave, right? We want to make sure as soon as you start losing your hair, you are compliant so you restart that engine of hair loss. The better way to do that is with finasteride and minoxidil, not do testeride.
So and Tara says, David, how are you so handsome? Thank you so much. That's very sweet. So then Philly Boy says, my dad is in Norwood 1.5 with a full head of hair at 60 and I'm balding at 28. Yeah, I mean, it's not automatic that it's going to be your dad's hair that you get, or your mom's hair, any of those things. So I'm sorry to hear that. Like you're like me. You got the unlucky genetics. I mean, all of my brothers got hair loss, in their genes, but I started losing it the earliest of any of the men in my family. So I got the worst hair loss genes. So you never know exactly who's going to get what. But yeah, hopefully maybe you are in Philly and you can get on Locklab. I think it's going to help you tremendously if you're not on it yet. So Julian says, I have to get off, but I would love to if you need a team to help continue creating content. Okay, wow, that's super, super cool of you. So keep up the amazing work. You can email me, Julian. I don't know exactly in what way we would work together, but you're welcome to email me. My email is just daviddimuzio@gmail.com. So you're welcome to send me an email, and I'm happy to chat further with you about it. So we'll see what it is you do. So yeah, then Philly Boy says, would you say most guys will be at least Norwood 3 if they get to a very old age? What do you think, Steve?
I mean, the numbers, the percentages will increase. There's 50% of men at age 50 will have some hair loss. There's no specific Norwood calculator or estimator or prognostication or whatever you want to call it. As you get older, yes, you will thin in other areas. But I have seen, man, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I've met people that look like they're wearing a wig because they're like 75 years. They got these massive full heads of hair. It's almost unnatural at that age. It's kind of weird. So that's not guaranteed, but yeah, most likely when age 60, you're going to have like 60 or 65% of the men that are going to have some sort of hair loss. But the degree of hair loss, there's never been any studies on that.
Neil Adams says, is generic minoxidil as good as a brand name? Are you talking about like oral minoxidil or topical minoxidil? So can you let us know? But yeah, this is, I can't tell you for certain. I can tell you a few things for certain, which is that depending on the brand, depending on the country and the regulations there as well, not all generic medication is exactly the same as other medications. And so, for instance, with Locklab, we test all of our medication. We do third-party testing, and we test to we only allow a 5% variance, which is actually a smaller variance than the FDA allows. So, and the FDA allows it's either like a 10 or 20% variance of the API, which is the active pharmaceutical ingredient. So, there's also different tests for the amount of heavy metals that are in the medication and other ingredients and things that are in the medication that are in the raw materials. So not all generic medicine is exactly the same as other brand names. And then when you start getting to like other third world countries and stuff like that, it starts getting crazy as far as what's on the label not even being remotely what you're actually getting as far as the active pharmaceutical ingredients. So yeah, it's so you could be. I mean, I don't know every generic medication and all the testing that they do and how that relates to other medications that are brand names of those. So I couldn't tell you exactly, but I just know with Locklab that we do a lot of testing ourselves and that we really make sure that we have the highest quality ingredients because that's what we personally take. That's what I'm actually putting in my body every single day. So I want that tested and I want to make sure that I'm getting the best stuff. But I would just say that overall, you want to going with the cheapest thing is not always the best when it comes to medication. Sometimes there is reasons that things are cheaper. So, Philly Boy says Ronald Reagan had an insane hairline. Would you guys ever use your beard hair to your scalp. Yeah, so I've done that. I've actually done a beard to hair transplant. To be honest, I'm a little frustrated at the guy who did my beard to hair transplant because he didn't give me good information about aftercare, and so yeah, I actually have scarring on my beard. It's because it's not scarring from the transplant. It's actually scarring from like sunburn, or like not I didn't even get sunburnt, but like because I was in the sun and I should have been putting like really strong sunscreen
Hmm.
on after this, but he never told me that I should do that. So I wish he would have given me better information. But you can actually see I have, it's called what's it called where you get like
Mm.
the discoloration.
Ah,
There's like a technical name
yeah,
for it.
not sure. I forget.
Yeah, it's a technical name, but if you look right here, oh no, can you see it on here? It's harder to see when my beard is actually grown out, but you can actually see there's like a
Yeah.
discoloration like here. It's worse, I think. One of these sides it's worse, but you can see where it was like taken there. So the sort of scarring is, anyway, it doesn't bother me that much. Like obviously I have a beard most of the time. It's more noticeable if I completely shave, but it's still not too bad. It's because it's underneath there. But yeah, I wish it didn't exist. You know, if I could snap my fingers and make it so there isn't any discoloration, I would prefer that. But I have had that done. Yeah, beard to head is possible, but there are some downsides of it essentially. So one is that you probably don't want to put, well, okay, so one, your beard hair needs to be similar to your head hair in order for them to match. So some people do have similar beard hair and head hair. Some people's beard hair is very different than their head hair, so it's not going to match. The second thing is most of the time you don't want to use that in a hairline at all because beard hair is going to be more coarse and thick and kind of different than the head hair. So you're better off in using it in like on the top of your head. Third thing is you have to do all this different numbing of like you have to do a lot of like complicated numbing. It takes a long time. Extracting the grafts is a little bit tricky. So there are a lot of downsides of it essentially, but the upside is that you have extra grafts that could potentially be taken from, but it's not something that I would really go for unless you just don't have much of a choice really. So and Philly says, "What age could you grow a full beard, David?" I would say probably like 23. I would guess something like that. Maybe 20. Yeah, in the sort of 20 to 23-year-old range.
Mm.
That's what I think I could grow a beard. Cool. Any other questions, guys? We're on about 28 minutes, so we're gonna head off pretty soon. But if you have any other questions, we'd love to answer. It's nice to get so many good questions from you guys. I don't think what else is going on in my life. I've got two beautiful daughters. It's my favorite thing currently. I think about them all the time. I've been traveling a ton, performing, and God, if all you guys watching this, I hope you have girls because it's just an amazing thing having a daughter. It's like the most pure, beautiful love I think you can experience. So Steve has a daughter as well, so I think he can attest to that.
Got to have daughters until they hit 15. Then you gotta-
Yeah, he said it's gotten a little bit more complicated lately. I won't know about that for a while. So Dee Acely said, I started finasteride and minoxidil at 27 years old. When should I consider a hair transplant? I'm 29 now.
You're ready.
Yeah, so you should be good. Once you've been on medication for, I would say at least at least 6 months, but really preferably probably about a year, then you should be good to proceed with a hair transplant as long as you're not losing like a significant amount of hair still. And if you're on the oral minoxidil, oral finasteride, like the combination like Locklab, then you probably aren't losing any more hair. So you should be pretty good to do that. Tar says, from the time you start noticing hair loss, is there a certain amount of time you have to treat that before the hair cells die? Like, is there a known time frame? Not really, because everyone's hair loss progresses at different rates. And the unfortunate thing is that by the time you start noticing hair loss, you've already lost about 50%. So you don't start noticing it right away. It's once you're about 50% loss, that's when you start to notice like real thinning. So essentially, just the sooner the better. If you, in my opinion, if you even have a history of hair loss in your family, I would just get on it preventatively. I would just get on this pill preventatively. I think that's the best decision because then you don't ever have to worry about it. That's something that most people do not do. But if I had my life to do over again, I just at like 19 years old would have just jumped on this medication and just gone, okay, cool. Let me just start taking this, and then I would have never had to get a hair transplant. I'd have an incredible head of hair. Yeah, it would have saved me a ton of money. That's the best thing to do, I think. So Philly Boy says, "What Norwood is your dad, David?" Uh, which is the one where you literally have no hair on
Oh,
the top of your
Norwood
head?
5 is where that starts, where you
Okay.
have nothing on top, and then depending on how far you dip
I mean,
down.
my dad, like right there,
Norwood
like
6.
he literally had no hair from like about like here up, and then like there back. Like
He's probably a Norwood
he
6.
had nothing. Like it
Yeah.
was like
Yeah,
it was just
I was 6.
yeah.
I mean, a 7 is like young Frankenstein. You guys are too young for that. But he's like completely bald. But the rim hair around the sides and back, depending on whether it's a little bit or it's kind of an average, but bald on top completely would be a 5, 6, or 7.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, my dad had no hair on the top of his head. It was just a horseshoe situation where horseshoe bald, he just had the rim stuff around it, like
Yeah.
like a James Taylor.
Yeah. That's probably a Norwood 6.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, if you don't have any other questions, the guys who are on here now, then we'll probably go ahead and head off. I'll give you another second if there's any other questions. But yeah, it's been great jumping on here again. We'll try and do one again maybe tomorrow or Sunday. So if you're watching this and you want to like ring the notification bell, and then we'll try and get on either tomorrow or Sunday. And if you have any other questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them then. So, all right, we're going to head off, and we'll talk to you guys maybe tomorrow or Sunday. Yeah, ring the notification bell, and thank you for all the great questions. It was really great hanging out with you.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, see ya.